Hey, what's going on, guys? This is a video on teaching you guys how to introduce a fearful or skittish dog to a new person. This is something that we get a lot of questions on. I've never made a video on it. So now we have a younger Malinois that's coming in with some working lines, so super suspicious, doesn't really want to run to other people full of joy, like he wants to jump in their lap. So I'm going to walk you through the process and how to do that right now. One question I have for you guys, I want you guys to leave the answers in the comments below. We always like to get a feel of what you guys are working on at home. Let me know in the comments below if this is something that you guys have worked on in the past, or this is something that you're currently working on. So one of our trainers, Julia, is going to be what's the dog's name? What is it? Spyros, kind of like Spyro the game, but with an S. He's a 6-month-old Malinois, again from working lines, so not super aggressive. He's actually a pretty confident dog from what I understand, but he is one of those dogs that will check your ID, and it can be kind of scary. So again, this is gonna be the introduction of what you guys should be doing. So if this was your yard, which it is kind of our yard, the first thing you wanna do is, why don't you come on in? What you don't wanna do is do what a lot of people do, is they come up, they say, hey buddy, how are you? That, see, on cue, my man. That may work for a dog that is very playful, happy, confident in a way of wanting attention and love and is used to getting love and attention. But as you can see, he is not in that manner. He is not in that behavior. He is not that type of dog. And I'm gonna be that person, just so you guys know. I am gonna be that person that's gonna be introduced to him. Obviously, Julia knows this dog well. She's gonna be introducing the dog to me, and I'm gonna go over those tips now. So we're just gonna acclimate me being around. We're gonna acclimate my sense, and he's just gonna be on his break and be a puppy. If you guys watch his behavior, he is very like wanting to know who the camera people are, wanting to know who I am. And now what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna go outside of the fence and we're gonna do the same thing, but this is gonna allow me to get a little bit closer safely. This is my introduction for you guys to know how to do this. If you did have a dog that maybe had a bite history or something like that, you're gonna meet on neutral grounds. You're gonna meet outside. Again, what you don't wanna do is shove somebody in this dog's space in the very beginning of their introduction and say, hey, deal with it. What you want to do is get in a big open space like this, in a very neutral place. This isn't his house. This is our training center. So I'm going to go on the other side of the fence, and I'm going to use that fence as a barrier. So if he does come after me, which he's not going to, but if you do have a dog that does have a bite history and a history of going after people on the leash, that's the first thing you want to do, is get a chain link fence or get some sort of barrier in between you guys. So I'm going to show you how you're going to do that now. And then Julia, you can just kind of give him a break, and then we're just going to walk this way. This is just a perfect example of a dog who can be pushy, or I guess what we would call sketchy as far as like meeting a new person. This isn't somebody that you'd want to go over and go, hey buddy, how are you? And hug. They'd wag their tail, you give them a treat and walk away. So this is gonna be a perfect video for you guys. I've never met this dog ever. He's been here for a week now or so. So this is real time, real training here. What you're looking for, which he didn't really do, is you're looking for the dog to sniff and air scent and try to figure me out. So if you have a dog that is starting to do that, that's the first step. He's just a really pushy dog, and we're setting him up for failure on purpose because I want to teach you guys what to do because of his breed. So at any point during this whole process, I don't want you guys to think that like he's a super aggressive dog. He's just a very pushy, confident 6-month-old. Is he intact? Yeah. Intact working line Malinois. So, you know, the fun stuff. He's great with the staff because they know him. But again, this is like real time, so we're gonna see what he does here. So right now he's on his break, so he's just kind of being a dog right now at this point. We're gonna go over here and we're just gonna get the place command. We're gonna use this as a barrier. And what you wanna do is, if you have a dog that is food motivated, this is something that you can start kind of messing around with a little bit, where maybe if the dog was interested in the food in my pocket, that's kind of like a deal breaker or an icebreaker. The dog kind of comes up to you, you can give the dog a little bit of food, the dog kind of breaks the ice that way, you grab the leash and you kind of walk away. But what you don't want to do with the dog like this is you don't want to be in their face, you don't want to necessarily be at their level, you want to just kind of be like this and just kind of be neutral until the dog starts to get acclimated.
So he will go up to people direction and then
like that. Let's put the slip a little bit higher. So what this was how to introduce a dog to people, but what it's turning into is more of a behavioral training case. So we're gonna do a little bit of both. So he's a little sketchy with equipment, so that's why when you go, like Julia just did, and tried to grab his equipment to fix the collar because it's supposed to be a little bit higher, he gets mouthy as well. So you're gonna get a 2-for-1 special here on this video of how to work with a aggressive, reactive, and when I say aggressive, football players are aggressive, right? He's an aggressive dog in a sense of being very pushy and being very assertive and really throwing his body. I'm not saying he's aggressive as in he's mean, so that's what we're working on. So we're kind of doing a little bit of both here. We're gonna pass him off to Kyle, and Kyle's gonna change the slip for me so we don't have to put Julia in a situation, because he's the type of dog that really takes advantage of people. So some of you out there who are actively trying to introduce your dog to new people, this is something you may be dealing with. So he's way better with Kyle apparently, so we're gonna let Kyle just change the equipment up. Wow, Kyle's got a new dog. All right, let's give a round of applause for Kyle and his new dog. So this is just like a little behavioral work that we're doing. So I'm just associating myself with him. He wants to come around this, but I'm just hanging out. So neutrality. I'm not really asking him to do anything. I'm not really asking him to sit or whatever. I mean, I will correct him if he tries to come after me or try to push me around. But again, this is just a dog that's trying to take advantage of anybody that he can. And if you let him get that number quick, it's gonna be a little bit difficult. So if you're not working with that dog and you're working with more of like a fearful, timid dog, he's obviously very confident. He's kind of the other end of the spectrum. So all we're gonna do is I'm gonna just walk this way and Kyle's gonna follow me. Good, and I'm just using the bed as a barrier. It's not necessary, I know that. So it's just something that I'm using just in case, because I wanna set this dog up for success. So again, all we're doing is we're creating neutrality with something the dog knows really well, which is literally just walking. Good boy, Spyros. Good. Off. So you guys saw me just correct him there, and I'm gonna correct him because that's where things kind of escalate into other things, is where a dog will say, hey, can I take a bite out of your sweatshirt? And then we react and we say, oh, don't, I'm scared. But what I did is I just really assertively just popped the leash and I said off, and then he said, okay. So again, neutrality, guys. So you're getting a little bit of both here on some behavioral work as well as introducing. So all we're doing is we're going for a walk. Let's take it down one more step. So I'm gonna drop the leash. Kyle can kind of pull him back to him. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove the barrier. So if my fence was a little bit lower, this is something like I just did. I basically just had a movable fence and I was moving back and forth. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna walk with him with Kyle. So I'm not looking at him, I'm not talking to him, I'm not engaging with him. All I'm doing is just walking with Kyle, which is somebody that he trusts, which again will start to create that neutrality and start to create that trust between us. If he's ignoring me and he doesn't care about me, those are all good signs. So if you're working with a dog at home that is walking with that new person, and this is something that can literally take you 10 to 15 minutes. You go outside, you create a safe barrier, you walk back and forth, you come in. I just used that barrier as we were walking forward. I think a lot of you wouldn't have to do that because you're not gonna be dealing with a spicy 6-month-old Malinois. So the next step for most of you is gonna be this. Simply having that person who knows the dog well, and we go out and we walk together. Again, not engaging with him, not looking at him, not calling his name, we're just together. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna give him a break, and then Kyle and I are gonna walk back and forth here. Now, when a dog's on a break, it's very discretionary to the actual dog and what the environment is. With this dog, he can basically go front, left, right, but he can't lunge and come after people or go after wildlife or things like that, but he can be a dog. He's a puppy, so we'll bring him back this way. So again, we're creating that neutrality, and now I'm just gonna get in front of these guys a little bit, and he can start to sniff me. He's more interested in the ground. So this is what you're looking for, guys, is what is he interested in right now? Not me. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're actually trying to figure out. So if this dog is disengaged from me, and if this dog is more engaged with the leaves and the smells of the turf, that tells us that I'm really not a priority target anymore. So these are all good signs. So we're gonna do that one more time. So you're gonna make a couple passes as you're out with the dog. And if you don't have a yard like this, then I would just go for a walk down the block. And now at this point, because he is disengaged with me, I feel comfortable that I can take the leash and then walk. This is the most important part probably of this video, is this handoff. When you hand the leash off, again, what you don't want to do is, hey buddy, how are you? I'm your friend. Get on their level, talk to them like a baby. That's where you're going to get a dog that's a little nervous, really nervous. You do not want to make a big deal out of something the dog might already assume is going to be a big deal, because you're going to trigger that fight or flight, and then the dog's going to go, oh crap, this isn't really a good idea. I really don't know you. Act calm, act neutral. I'll show you how to do it right now. Leash handoff, and then we'll come back towards me just a little bit. Cool. And now he's getting pressure from me, and now we're just going to go forward. So he's on his break. So again, I'm not asking him to do anything yet. I'm just looking for that neutrality of, is this dog gonna be a threat to me? Doesn't really look like it. So now I'm gonna start doing some obedience. So what makes me feel comfortable with actually asking him to do behaviors? Again, when I just walked in with Kyle the first time, he was neutral with me. He wasn't locked in on me. He wasn't looking at me. He was looking at the ground. He was looking at the leaves. He was interested in Kyle. I wasn't a target. Those are the things that you're looking for. So the next step after that is say, hey, you take the leash. But again, most important thing is do not make a big deal out of that leash transfer. It's okay, it's just Uncle Sally. It's okay, it's Uncle Mike. Don't do those things because you're immediately telling the dog, oh, don't make a bad decision. All you want to do is do exactly what Kyle did, is you kind of pass off the leash and then you walk forward. You may be home watching this dog with a severe bite history and you may have a muzzle on the dog, but a lot of the core principles of the things that I'm talking about are all going to be the same. This also could be on the other end of the spectrum where you have a little nervous, kind of I don't know what to do, very overly submissive puppy, and you want to introduce your friends, your family, your neighbors, your trainer, your dog walker in the proper way. So that's exactly how you're going to be doing this introduction, really on both ends of the spectrum. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna just offer a little bit of threshold training. So it's an immediate way to start gaining that relationship with that dog in a structured way. So I'm gonna ask him to sit, I'm gonna ask him to stay, and then I'm gonna release him. That'll immediately also gauge, how does this dog feel about me? Is this dog gonna listen to me? Is he gonna have, a problem with me? So those are the things I'm gonna start doing now very simply with some food. Spyros, good boy, good job. Sit. Good sit, good. So essentially what you guys wanna do is create that game of, hey, I want you to do something, good job, hold them accountable, good. Okay, break, good job, buddy. All right, so now we're gonna do the place command with them just to show you guys what that looks like with them. And we're gonna go over some really important things on this. This is something you guys don't wanna miss. When we're doing the place command, it's important that you guys hold him accountable and look for certain things when you're doing this. Let me show you what that looks like. Spyros, place. Nice, buddy, good place. So this is that kind of secret sauce I was telling you about. He is disengaged with me because he's very overly stimulated. Again, this is a brand new he's probably the first dog that we're trained on. Good place, but this is the most important thing, is putting him into a behavior like place, disengage with the food, you can throw that away, holding him there, holding him accountable. That immediately will set your relationship really nice with him or really nice with any dog. Okay, break. Good boy. And then on your terms, you break the dog. So one thing that you want to do once you start transitioning into the house, right? So, okay, now we've met the dog, we've gotten comfortable with the dog. The dog isn't afraid for some of you. The dog isn't a threat for some of you. The dog is calm for some of you. It just depends on what type of dog that you're really working with and where they fit on the spectrum. But obedience is going to be a very big part of this. So when you go into the house and you go into the home, it would probably be best if you, as the handler or the owner, or the dog feels more comfortable with, you take the leash, don't let him off the leash. Because once you transition into the house, that's a whole different ball game. It's the difference between being on water and being on land. It's completely two different things. So when you go into the house, you want to make sure that you have the leash, not the other person, and you don't go in and immediately let go of the dog and let them go do what they want. Because as soon as that stranger, that new person to your dog comes into the house, you have an immediately different scenario. That's where the dog lives. That's where they may be protective. That's where they may feel more vulnerable. It's in a tight space. All of these things can be very problematic for a dog that may be like him, where he can become more protective. Okay, I'm cool with you out here, but as soon as we come inside, things change a little bit. The next thing that you want to do, and this is also very important, which we just touched base on a little bit with the place, is obedience. So again, you don't want your dog to just kind of be going like this and trying to figure out what they can and can't do. What you want to do is just go over to your place command, place, good, get your dog to place, sit, good, sit, buddy. And then you can tell your guest or your friends or your family to then go and sit down and do what they want. And you can hold this obedience to kind of help that neutrality blend in. So you blend it in outside, you use the fence as a safety precaution. We used basically a double rope. We had a handler that's comfortable with them, hold the actual leash, and then I took the slip leash. That worked out great. Then what we're doing as we blend inside, we say, okay, hey buddy, come and do this. Okay, break. And this gives the dog an opportunity to have a job. This gives the dog the opportunity to not be so maybe tense or tight with that other individual that's now coming into your house. So that's the next thing you want to do. So maybe if you guys at home don't know the place command or don't know the place and stay or whatever, maybe you guys should be working on this until you start introducing people, or especially when people start coming over to your house. So the other thing that you guys might find that your dog may do is if your dog is in a place for a long period of time, and then that guest or that family member or that new person gets up, your dog may then be reactive. Now, a lot of people get very confused about that because they look at it as, he's been here or she's been here the whole time, I don't understand the big deal. When the actuality is your dog got comfortable with the picture. Your dog didn't necessarily get comfortable with that individual and what they can and can't do. So you wanna make sure that if your dog is probably like this type of dog where they're very protective and controlling and maybe a little bit more reactive than most, then you want to put the dog into multiple different positions and you want to move that person around. Now, if you have a dog with a bite history and you have a dog in a muzzle, you have a dog that could potentially be dangerous, I would only recommend be doing this to people that are really going to be around for a long period of time. Now, a very important thing is this does not mean if you have a dog specifically like Spyros, that after the first half an hour of your dog blending and transitioning in, that they're not 100% still comfortable with this. So again, just because your dog isn't maybe lunging, reacting, barking, cowering down, doesn't mean that you can go up and have that person meet the dog or put their hand out or talk to them like a baby. You want to set up the dog for as much success as humanly possible. So you want to keep a safe distance. Now again, this is very discretionary. Like a lot of the videos and a lot of the topics that we talk about, each dog is going to be different. If you get into the house and your dog melts into a puddle and submissive pees on themselves, you're probably going to be fine with introducing that new person. But this is where a lot of my clients, both online and here at the facility, fall short. They say, oh, the dog is doing good, meaning we're not barking, we're not growling, we're not lunging. But you don't want to bite off more than you can chew. If they give you an inch, don't take a mile. So it's important for you guys to understand that it's still a very blended transition as you start transitioning, especially a dog like this, that could be edgy, into your home. So you want to give it some time before you let things really get any further. And the next question that we typically get is like, okay, Tom, when is it going to be okay for us to actually introduce this person? And that's a very important question. And the answer is really it's going to be dependent on the dog. Really ask yourself, what could go wrong if it goes wrong? You really make sure the juice is worth the squeeze. So if you're introducing somebody to this person and the worst case scenario happens is the dog grumbles and runs away, you can start blending in this possible interaction stage. Get a ball, get a toy, get some treats, ask the dog to do a behavior and throw it out, and kind of start engaging with the dog like I have been in this video. Again, worst case scenario is maybe the dog runs away. Worst case scenario is the dog ignores this person. Worst case scenario is maybe the dog gets aggressive and lunges at that person, and that's maybe where you don't want to do that. But you really want to start blending in and feel it out. That's the kind of the wonder of dog training and me producing content for millions of you guys home is every dog is going to be different, every scenario is going to be different. But more importantly, most importantly, throughout this entire video, you guys have to realize there's a big picture and the dog may be a little nervous, and the smaller you get, the more potentially reactive or suspicious or vulnerable the dog may get. Take your time. We did it here in probably 15, 20 minutes. And again, I've never met this dog. He came in as a spicy 6-month-old intact working line Malinois. So, hey, it doesn't surprise me that he's spicy. It doesn't surprise me that he's pushing my buttons. It doesn't surprise me that he's trying to check me at the door. So again, it's very discretionary. I hope this video helps. If you guys like this video, then I can almost promise you, you will love the No Bad Dog Members Club. The link is in the description below. It's a subscription-based service that you guys can join. It's a great community. We have a forum in there that we chat, we talk about. It's a safe place, and you're gonna get the full uncut versions of every video we do, plus the unreleased versions that don't make it up to the YouTube. Again, that link is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Peace. All right, you guys, I hope you liked this video. Make sure you hit this to subscribe to my channel or click this other video to check out all the other cool things we're doing with dogs.